hear this?
All right, look, you got it. Actually, okay.
How come his mic's closer than ours?
I think he keeps getting close to the
I
mic.
need to get closer.
All right, okay.
I'll sit back.
All right, hey guys, welcome to another episode of the League of Legends podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Skarzard Scarborough, and here I'm talking today with the Warwick team. So if you've listened to a bunch of these, you know we usually go through the DNA pod, the design, the narrative, and the art. Joining me today, the Giga Head lead artist. God, I don't know what your title is.
Keep
Larry.
I like it.
Larry,
yes.
the Bravo Ray.
Thank you.
We also have the Dark Lord of Gameplay, Bradford Certainly T. Wenban, who's here joining us to represent gameplay. Brad, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Yeah, see, he's totally lying, but I'm going to believe him.
That is correct.
And then we have, let's see if I can get this right, representing the narrative team, David Interlocutioner Slagle. Is that correct?
Is me.
Awesome. I met David yesterday, so this is going to be a great conversation. So, guys, it's great. As we were walking over, the branch cut. It just happened. Warwick's out. I mean, he's not out, but he's.
We can no longer make any changes to improve him or make him worse.
Yeah,
So
and usually
he's set in stone.
Yeah. So this podcast usually releases on, I think, the day of is when it goes out. So people will already be viciously murdered or murdering as Warwick. I think to kind of jump off, there was an AMA that a lot of you guys did on Reddit. Those of you can, listening can go back and check that out. There's some really insightful answers that we're certainly not just going to immediately retread here. But Brad, you had some interesting insight into how this project got started. You said that this is the first champion update where kit-wise accessibility was actually a major goal of the project. Can you talk about how that came about?
Yeah, so for starters, I think like a major explicit starting goal, I know it's a lot of caveats, but I do think like the Taric update, for example, was sensitive to the fact that Taric has always been like a great champion for people who are newer to League, and it was about modernizing him so that he could be someone for all sorts of players. With Warwick, though, I think there's this sense that the jungle is an intimidating place. It's like an environment, a place where you have to overcome the like environment around you just to live. And so jungling is difficult, even if your opponents are utterly incompetent. Yeah. And so
you could just be like against a bot game, and it's still hard.
Yeah, right. And so for newer players, right, the jungle is an intimidating place. It's dark. It has things that beat the heck out of you, especially if you don't have runes and masteries yet. And so with Warwick, we really needed for it to be an explicit goal in order to keep him a part of the roster that could introduce players to jungling. Yeah,
I think that's awesome. I mean,
I was just thinking, like, too. Do you feel like, okay, like live Warwick currently, well, soon not to be live anymore, is like sustainability forever, and then you come out level 6 in your game, right? Do you feel you took any of that away with these changes, or do you think you added more depth to it, or more challenges, more skill play? Like,
yeah,
I've never had this conversation with you.
The answer is,
did you make it good, Brad?
The answer is
did you do all
that? We don't know fully with gameplay. Right? Okay. Because who knows what's going to happen. That being said, precisely because the jungle is PvE, we can know some things, right? Like I can go through the jungle and clear it without runes and masteries and doing some dubious things, right? Like not taking smite or smiting randomly, or failing to auto attack sometimes and just standing there, which new players do, right? Because they're learning to control the,
still do
the game
after
right?
4 years.
Yes, right.
Larry's been playing for 5 years and still sometimes just stands there.
It's amazing. It takes an extra button. So yeah, like, but the difference I think is that Warwick, part of my diagnosis, at least, I think the team's diagnosis was that he kind of oversolved the problem. So you like, in order to not have you die in the jungle, it was like, well, he has such health sustain that you never lose health.
Yeah.
And that just makes the experience dry, right? You're not having to make decisions about what camp to go to. It's literally just, if there's a camp, go to it, auto attack it until it is gone.
Your timer begins. Right. Wait. Yeah, there was I have to imagine that you read some of it, but again on the subreddit, sometime in the last 6 months, there was like a guy who only plays Warwick, and he did an AMA because he's like the highest mastery of Warwick, made it challenger, and they were like, how do you get through such a dry experience? And he was like, oh, I actually play other games before I hit 6.
And I can totally imagine for like a sophisticated player, right?
Yeah.
You might be able to do that. And
Yeah.
that's not to say that like live Warwick doesn't force you to make decisions, right? You make a lot of choices on him. I think part of it is like spreading those decisions out, so that it's not maybe all about like using your ult to perfection every time it's up, right? It's about using your ult well, but it's intrinsically a bit unreliable, and so you're also having to make good decisions at level 2, level 3.
What about the AP? The decision to keep AP on the queue. I mean, it could have been easy just to get rid of magic in general. Like, what was your reasons behind it? Because I thought that when I read that, I thought that was cool.
I'll just let Larry do the whole thing for
I'm
you.
sorry.
I'll start making up shit about how I worked on Warwick now.
I'm interested myself because I don't like okay, I'm a melee 80 tanky character. I have to buy those items.
Melee, come on.
Yeah, but like,
who are you?
But like, it's cool. Like, what was your just thought process of making AP still stay on the kit?
So some of it is guided by history, right? Warwick has a generous AP ratio on his live queue and tried to preserve that. It was actually too powerful on his new queue because the healing scales up with the damage you do. But for starters, it's like, why would you not have an AP ratio on an ability? Well, there are reasons, right? And so in this one, it was like, if a player built a lot of AP and was like all in on their queue, is that a fundamentally different play style from a Warwick who builds AD or, for example, or attack speed? And yes, it really is, right? And so it's like, that's a good thing. And the second is like, well, does Warwick's contribution to his team warp in such a way that allies can't really understand what the heck this person is going to be doing, right? And I think like AP Caitlyn, where it's like you literally just place traps. It's like, well, come on, we kind of needed someone in your role to like knock down all the towers. But AP Warwick is doing fundamentally something very similar, which is he's bringing a mixture of like CC and magic damage that's reasonably front-loaded, right, along with enough sustain to be durable if he's not subject to intense burst. And he's hoping to stick to his target and do this disruptive damagey thing for about 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Right?
Zephyrus, however you want to say it, another one of our kind of old school designers. I feel like I've heard this discussion a lot where you talk about like, oh, can I understand what their contribution is going to be to the team, specifically around stuff like AP Tristana for players out there who remember that, because it's not that AP Tristana didn't contribute to a team, but it's like, do I know that they're going to turn into this like burst mage all in one shot versus the typical marksman that I come to expect? Can I anticipate that? Can I actually play around that? How does that meaningfully change? And so I kind of hear what you're saying. It's like, am I hindering my team's ability to win? Am I hindering my ability to really understand kind of what they're doing? David, I want to bring you into the conversation here because Brad has worked on I could name all of them, but I won't. I'll just name the ones that make people mad. Callista, Yasuo, Thresh. Has worked on a lot of different champions here. Larry also on the concept side has worked on a lot of different champions. Jin, Zach. He's literally Braum. If you can't see it, but just Google him. Google Larry Ray, and you'll find Braum. You told me when we chatted yesterday that you actually came onto this project partways through. And I want to know, for you, someone who's also relatively newer, I mean, especially to the experience that's here, what was the experience like to jump onto a project like Warwick? And do you actually think it really changed or helped your perspective in some cases?
I think Brad and Larry made it very easy to get going because there was emotions and story in the game mechanics. That communicate things to you about Warwick. The fact that he is so frightening when he howls, people run away from him. The fact that he is drawn to blood and he's rushing towards it, and there's this energy that can really inform the person you're writing and the choices you're making and like what brought him to this point.
So then tell me a little bit more about that point that he is at now, right? I think for people out there, I mean, Warwick really stands as one of our oldest champions in a lot of regards, and from the very beginning, he was very like, oh, he was cursed by Soraka, and then we changed it up a little bit, but the story kind of kept the same, and now he's a very different kind of person, right? At a very different point in his life, so to speak. And so how did we get here from that thing that he used to be when it comes to that narrative perspective?
Yeah, I think people who were on Reddit have heard about like different mechanical iterations of the character, and he's gone through different story iterations as well. The way I like to put it, when I came onto the project, Chemtech killed his parents. He hated Chemtech with a passion, and he was all about just destroying Chemtech, this industrial alchemy and so on. But he's kind of got it in himself, and it's like, do I want to go out and stomp calculators? To me, it's hard to relate to that a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to delve deeper into emotions and just really getting the player into the same mind space as Warwick.
Yeah, like is he just gonna, once I have destroyed all of the Chemtech, I'm good to go?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
I'll just walk off into the sunset.
The Echo, I know, like, here's a question for you. Is he a good guy now, a vigilante, a bad guy, or just a monster?
Larry's my co-host now forever, by the way.
Sorry.
He's just, no,
Sorry about
no,
that.
dude.
I just had to jump in.
Keep hitting him with the layups. He's gonna keep going.
I just want to do this.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, how would you describe his alignment right now?
Because I've heard questions like that. Like,
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Larry's heard a lot of questions.
Yeah.
The best questions, in fact.
Well, I just told this to Larry today in relation to another character. Like, he is a person who makes choices. The choices can be good, evil, chaotic, lawful. That doesn't necessarily define who he is. He's a person with a past. Things have happened to him. And
I mean, I have to say that that's really exciting to me as a player, because I mean, there's the whole dark secret past meme that has been around for a while, where a lot of people felt like for a period of time, many of our characters are like, oh, he's a bad, brooding guy, or it's like, look at this really good guy, and I think Camille is actually one, interestingly, who probably has some sort of interactions with Warwick, I would imagine. Where, when Camille's team was here, they were talking about, hey, like, we can talk about her alignment, but we would rather spend time talking about the complexity of her motivations. And it sounds like Warwick is, another step forward in that kind of idea that we're not just going to make good sword guy, bad sword guy, and things of that nature. You talked a lot about how the emotions you already found in the kit. Brad, Larry, since you guys were there kind of at the beginning, can you walk me through how did you guys identify those emotions? Did you work through some of those emotions already? Like where did you find something that was really sticking?
Yeah, so I think the first thing we sort of identify are pillars, right? And those are there's usually one that's like strongly a banner that narrative carries, one that maybe design carries, and one that art carries, right? And so the art might be that he's a feral beast, right? And certainly all of Larry's renditions of Warwick really that came through, right? And the mechanics side might be that he is like out of control. And the mechanics work I was doing was trying to get that, where it's like, hey, the enemy top laner is super vulnerable and you're really powerful if you go fight them, but you're not really powerful if you don't. And so you don't get to choose very neutrally where you go on the map, right? Warwick is pushing you in a particular direction. In fact, he gets directional movement speed, so I joke that if you ran in a circle, like, you would just end up at your opponent, right? And you get some of that, like, you do end up.
That's a tip out there now, technically, for players. Just if you don't know what to do, spin the Warwick.
Yep.
You'll find out what you're going to do sooner or later.
And so we hem and we haw and we fight over these pillars that we can use to like beat up and to keep us on track and to explain who Warwick is to other people and to hold like other people on the team accountable, right? It can be like, Larry, like, why does he looks kind of refined in that one? And Larry would be like, oh, you're right. Like that this, vestige of lab clothing he still has on needs to be torn up or something like that.
Do you remember your pillar?
I think it was that he was like insatiable, like out of control or something like that.
Do you remember his pillar? Are you gonna call
David
him on
knows
it?
him.
Always one of the pillars.
Each discipline has its own pillar, and we combine them into a tripod of pillars, and that the character stands on.
Champion Tripod is definitely the most attractive name I've heard for this process.
I have to say, usually I do remember the pillars quite clearly, but I think Warwick is he's not a like complicated being, right? And so it seemed like everyone really had a shared understanding of who Warwick was very intuitively. So like we stopped mentioning the pillars months and months ago because we didn't need them. Like
you have a clarity of purpose.
We really weren't coming up with these questions, right? Whereas like I don't know, like a Callisto, you'd be like, wait a minute, we need to go back and like remember who she is, right? That there's like that she's not pure evil or something like that,
but
right? Because she kind of looks pure evil. Yeah.
It only came up when people presented the wrong pillars, and we're like, hey, that's not the pillar.
Yeah.
remember some of the pillars would change. That's part of the process, right? Remember one of yours was like at one point the gameplay focus was going to more of a pack hunter mechanic.
Yeah.
Remember? Guerrilla tactics. Remember like that like you should dive into that one.
That was like the last time that I kind of caught up on the project was, and this is something for a lot of people out there you may not know. A lot of the way that Brad designs is he will pitch a kit, and then the champion abilities at the end of the cycle are sometimes almost identical. Like which I have found personally fascinating because I don't know how you do something like that. And I the blood scent ability. I mean, you can tell the rest of this, but you were like, we're gonna make the whole team the pack. Like he's gonna like try to infest or infect his teammates with this rage, with this insatiable hunger, and you're gonna be able to do something with it. I know you're iterating around that for quite a long time.
Yeah, this was based on like lycanthropy, like Warwick werewolves making other werewolves at the time, and so it was like allies that fought with Warwick in a given situation. I mean, on the back end, it was like got wolf points, right, or pack points. But like
my wolf bar fills to full.
Yeah, becoming more like a werewolf, and then when they reached a certain amount of time spent together, like essentially like letting blood, they would become part of his pack, and when they were around Warwick, particularly out of combat, they would turn into wolves.
I remember this. I was
and
like,
you just run around together as this wolf pack with like a bunch of extra movement speed. It was really a striking experience, I would say, in the game.
Striking, yeah. Seems good. Like, Larry, was this a bridge too far for
I was
you?
I was like, okay, so we're gonna turn these people into wolves. Okay, like what would the difference between Alistair and Annie? Are they the same model, or they have to be different models?
Do you have a big cow wolf?
Yeah.
That was one thing that was so strategically interesting about it, was that as an opponent, like you were very fearful of this wolf pack because almost every team contains a like Alistair-like person that you don't want to be next, and an Ash-like person that you desperately want to like run up to and kill. And the ambiguity as to who is who on the enemy team when you saw them from a distance made you sort of fearful and cautious of approaching them.
So if LeBlanc mimicked her mimic as the wolf, would you get one wolf heading opposite into the enemy team?
Oh my gosh, we haven't even gotten into clones. I'm sorry, I know you're joking, but I did.
No, I know.
I like to think through those problems. And then and then the rest of the gameplay was all about like surrounding units. It was like if Warwick and an ally like surround someone, like they get a bunch of bonuses against them.
Yeah.
So the pack would sort of run around together and then break up, and Warwick would flank and initiate.
So I mean that certainly. I mean, we just kind of joked around a little bit, but I mean, it definitely seems like it has a lot of art problems. Probably a
disaster.
lot.
I don't understand how you do it. Right?
I humored him the whole time. I was like, sure, Brad.
And good on you, Larry. God bless you. Brad needs someone like that.
We did actually some initial investigations, like what are the feasibility? What's the feasibility of it? And I'm sure we could have made it work. Ultimately, like I didn't move away from it for tech-related reasons. It just had some gameplay problems, right? While it is interesting that you can't tell your opponent is, it's also a competitive game where we're making it really hard to tell who your opponent was. And Warwick wanted to be alone a lot of the time, not like babysitting an ally or feeling like he had to go earn points in a mini game.
Yeah. So taking things back a little bit, I know one of the original, and it's not a pillar, I guess, but one of the things that I was excited for when they're like, Brad's working on Warwick, and I was like, oh shit, okay, what is it going to be? And they were like, tunnel vision, and I was like, whoa. I was that was kind of one of the original things, and that's changed. So he certainly has a lot of it with the blood scent mechanic, and you get the trails, and you really want to go for that one person. But I kind of want to understand more, both from the two of you guys, Larry and David, about why the Warwick we see in game is so monstrous, right? And like how we kind of got to that, because I know Brad straight up told me I was stupid. It was one of the best times where I was thinking a lot, as I know a lot of people were. We were all kind of powwowing about like, oh man, what should we do with Warwick's character? And it was like, oh shit, it would be cool if he was a guy and then he turned into a wolf, or if he was a wolf that talked like a dude, or if he was a smart wolf. And Brad was like, why? Right? Like, why is that fun, or why is it interesting? But I know there's a lot of concept art floating around about pre-Warwick, right? Yeah. Where and when do you guys make those calls about how much of his past to leave in the past?
Oh, that's like a group decision, I feel, right? Like I think when we started off, we had to, and we're just talking about Warwick and how he looks, but I think in the beginning we had to decide how much man and how much wolf. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Like, do you remember that? Like, we
discussed it, yeah, but I think we ended. I mean, maybe I don't remember things clearly. I know. I always felt, and I thought the room felt, that like there's something about a transition, right? Yeah. That werewolves embody that is really exciting. Mm-hmm. But of course, we don't like, or at least we imagine we don't like doing tropes like exactly on the nose.
Yeah.
And you're only in this finite game. Like, why do you want to be the dude when you could be the wolf monster? And so the idea of going from wolf man to full on wolf beast, right? Hit that transition. Didn't have you as the dude. Conveniently avoided needing to make like a stance swapping kit where you have a gun or something in human form, or when we didn't even really know what that Warwick the guy's source of power would be. And it felt like I think an interesting take on the werewolf, right? It's still this descent from like essentially like ornery revenge bent wolfman into completely instinct-driven hunter.
Yeah,
right. It was like an archetype, right? Like the challenge with Warwick's rework is that Warwick is a werewolf, right? Yeah. And so we're not going to come in as like, hey, we're going to do the rework, and he's no longer a werewolf anymore. Yeah. He's a Birdman, or he's
making York a samurai.
He's from outer
doing
space.
Something crazy,
right? Yeah. So I think that was like the first step for us, was just like, how do we make a werewolf different and unique for us, like for our League of Legends character? And that's when I think the Chimera conversation came in. It's like, he doesn't transform it. He's already past that. The story starts for him. This has been long past the transformation, and now he's just full beast mode, right? And he's made up of like all these different like monster predators all into one, and he's frustrated and angry now.
There is a line in the script I have to ask, and you are allowed blink twice for yes, or blink once for no. I have to ask: is he part Yordle?
Oh gosh, David. Did you?
He's not blinking at all. Somebody help him. No, there's this line that, and maybe you can explain it to me. I thought it was so weird. He talks about Yordles being like the alpha predator, and people in the thread are like, is that one of the things that he is? Does he have a Yordle part?
Maybe he's afraid of them.
I think Singe knows more about that than me, like how exactly he was made.
Right.
But yeah, I think knowing Warwick's emotions, channeling the werewolf, as I write the lines, he is saying that Yordles are the most dangerous creatures in Runeterra.
Which, it sounds like a funny concept, and yet Gnar kind of shows that, right? Like Gnar shows that this, prehistoric times, they turned into giant badasses. So I guess that's, okay, I thank you for the clarification. But on that talk of him being the Chimera versus old Warwick, when you started working on Warwick, did you have to think about old Warwick? Like, how much time did you even care about who old human Warwick was, or has that really not concerned you in terms of his development?
I think we would be huge failures if we did not embrace what made these characters great in the past. There's so many people who love them, who love the fact that Warwick ate Soraka's heart out, or tried to. That he was bros with Singed. Yeah. And we have to make really painful choices sometimes when we're trying to carry these characters forward. I feel like our mandate is we have this fantasy that players can live out when they're in our game. And maybe we're not completely hitting the mark. Maybe Warwick isn't the werewolf he could be, And so we consider, well, is he a human who can change into the game and you get to experience that moment? A human who can change into a wolf, I mean? Or is it the fact that a werewolf is this beast driven by hunger and is out hunting, and is that the thing we want to embrace? And then you start to cut away the things that don't really support that new vision. Even if they're great, you have to have a vision that you're working towards.
Yeah, I think Brad, you actually captured it rather well in the AMA when people were like, you know, what's the difference between this and Rengar? Like, they're both kind of animals that hunt people, and you know, you talked about the idea that, you know, Rengar is. He's much more methodical. And I mean, even as a character, right? Like, he hunts for different reasons. He's like, I want the trophy. I'm going to plan something, right? And this is what I loved. Can we all just take a second to talk about the cinematic and how awesome that cinematic?
Props to that team, man.
Everyone who was involved with that, if anyone's listening, shout outs to all of you for real. But like, I love how it even showed a lot of the gameplay in it, right? You have him chasing the guy down, and then the whole Chemtech injects into his body, and at that point it's not a choice anymore, right? He's like, well, guess I'm gonna leap across the chasm and murder the shit out of this guy, right? And it's been exciting. I've also watched some PvE games in preparation, and you have, you know, dudes like Night Blue who are like, I'm a challenger jungler, and the moment the trail pops up, they're like, oh, I'm going for it, right? It's like, it's, you know, Maybe later when he's released in the high elo games, we'll see people making those decisions. But for the most part, people are like, I want to follow, and I gotta jump at somebody. And I think that's actually a really cool way that it plays out.
Yeah, hopefully.
I mean, I love the fact too, like, by adding the miss mechanic. Like, we could have easily just had a big round of area of influence where when he lands, he pretty much gets you. But the fact that there is a point where you miss, but it still feels just thematically appropriate because you're so bloodthirsty for that target. Yeah. Like, even if you miss, you're still close enough to them. You're still chasing them down. I thought that was like the thing that we were kind of driving on to give that kind of feeling.
Warwick will turn and look at them as he misses.
Yeah, that's. Oh my God. Yeah, that's. A long time ago, when Sign was being updated, people were like, do we do away with the eye lasers? How does an eye laser stun you? And then as we add more things like this into the game, I'm like, well, clearly that's how you could do it, right? If he gives you the I'm going to murder you stare. I want to kind of hear from each of you on this, which is what would you consider a real victory? Because I know you guys have put a lot of work into this. You know, it's really polished. I told Larry a long time ago, like, sometimes I'll go over by Larry's desk and I'll be like, show me the new concepts. Let's have kind of a jam about it. And every time I start work, I was like, this looks really good, but it's a werewolf, right? Like, like, I'm not going to be too excited. Now I am very excited about it. I think the half mechano thing is super cool, but like, what is it that you really want players to get out of this, and what is it that you really want, like, perceptions to change about how they see Warwick in game, or do you not want it to change all that much?
Well, I mean, you're always looking to improve some areas, right? I think there being a general perception that Warwick is an exciting champion to play that offers like a really high energy experience at all phases of the game is something I'd like. There's a lot of sentiment that it's like, hey, like, I feel useless until 6, for example. And, typically you shouldn't feel useless, particularly in such a proactive position like the jungle. So I would like if that sentiment around Warwick actually inverted, that it's like, hey, I really want to be taking advantage of situations that arise from the get-go.
So kind of like, if I get to 6, I'll be fine, but I actually have more to do, and there's more that I could take advantage of. Yeah,
and it's note like this is also like there's more you can take advantage of. There are also more responsibilities on you, and I think players are comfortable with those responsibilities being given to them because that means that they have control over the outcome of the game, right? When you play Warwick into Lee Sin, it's like, well, basically, like, if the Lee Sin does everything well in the early game, you're probably going to lose. He has opportunities, and you don't.
Yeah.
Right? And so giving both players, maybe not Lee Sin level, but opportunities to exert influence over the game across phases is an important part of, like, a game, in my opinion.
Yeah. Larry, how do you want people to feel when they see Warwick for the first time?
This is something when we were making him from an artistic thematic point is as Warwick, I'm running super fast. I'm about to jump into mid lane on that low target, and they hear it, they don't know where I'm coming from, and they're terrified. As the target, I'm terrified. I don't know where he's coming, and you start to try to get out of there. So we constantly talk about like what is the main feeling we wanted players to have was that moment, was the blood hunt. Everything is just perfect, and you're already coming out like 750 movement speed, and you're in range. The howl's already set. Your howl like is already primed, and you're about to land. That's like we just thought that was the moment, right?
Yeah.
That's as long as players get to experience that a lot and actually tower dive, because I'll probably be doing that more than I should have. I feel we've succeeded, like I feel like as long as they feel that, I feel good.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I do want to share, on a mechanics perspective, Brad, move speed scaling, very cool.
Oh, yeah.
I think, especially if you guys saw the maximum Warwick, there's this guy, I don't know his name, but he's
Vandrel.
He is the record keeper for this sort of
what did he
stuff.
get to? What was the movement speed they got to?
God, it was something like 2,000, like above, and what, I mean, he goes from the fountain to just by the tier 2 turret.
Working as attendant?
I don't want to call him out.
Ooh.
Well, I do like calling him
Ooh,
out.
no, call him out. This is good.
I can make it into the dragon pit from the fountain on blue side.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is that a challenge? And that's not cheating or anything. That's
with 5 champions, but all available things in game, and that's without Cloud Drakes and Elder Dragon, because I didn't have time for that.
all right. Well, so no, this is good. We're gonna have to we're gonna show this to him when this comes out. The challenge has been issued to find a way to get into the dragon pit.
Yeah.
I think that just speaking for myself, I think this has been a rather impressive update. I think for a lot of the reasons that you talked about. You mentioned Tarek, right? Not just accessibility, but also just trying to hone in on something that you're not reinventing the wheel, right? I think Yorick, I really, really liked aesthetically, but it's hard for me. I mean, as it was hard for me before Yorick was updated to really understand what he was about. And while that's clear now, he's still a very complex character, right? It's I don't know if he's if he wants to kill all life. It's hard for me to understand what steps he's going to take to get there, right? A lot of people like that he was shambling and now he's upright. There's a larger degree of change, but looking at Warwick now, it's like, give me the big claw, right? Like I'm very into the sort of fighter fantasy. So talking from a class perspective, did you feel like you had to make a lot of significant changes to get him to fit into the mold? Because I think a lot of people are like, oh, he's just the guy that red smites me and I die instantly in his ultimate. Is that still true?
The base damage on the R may be too high now. Right now.
That's what brought people to this podcast.
Are
To yell about that.
are they big changes or not? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Right? It depends on your perspective. Right? The Q is still a targeted ability that does magic damage and % health damage and heals him, but it also has an ability to track units, and it is a dash at its heart, which is something Warwick didn't have on his base kit prior. I'm not sure, right? So if your perspective is like, hey, fundamentally they're like mobility junglers that can go over walls freely, and that's what makes them powerful, then no, fundamentally Warwick is the same, right? If your perspective is like, hey, Warwick was that guy without a dash on his base kit, then it's like, well, it's different, right? Then he is different. So I think personally it's like there's sort of a sweet spot of sophistication where it's like if you just sort of naively look at it, it's like the kit is very different, right? As you start to think about it, you're like, wow, a lot of his core weaknesses and core strengths are hopefully preserved. And then, I'm sure for players that understand the game very deeply, as with any change, like Warwick will be very different in terms of how he plays.
Right.
Yeah.
Is the play to throw in your E-shield and ult someone with the hopes of fearing people back into your team good at all? Is that a good play? Should I do that?
Yeah, it's a pretty good play.
Yeah.
Okay, sick.
Sexy.
I was hoping that it worked that way when I saw the fear for the first time. Was like, are we going to do the Warsec? each iteration of that kind of play gets further and further from the name Insect to the point that it becomes unrecognizable.
Right. I mean, I think the major difference is that it is much less fully under your control, right? And so if there is a problem with Lee Sin's design, he's a great champion, but it's that players continue to get so good at him that gradually, like, their opponents' decisions like start to fade in relevance, right? And the continued evolution of the insect from like I kind of it actually now doesn't even look as smooth as I remember, right? But like put down the ward, go to it, to like I start my ult on you and then flash behind you at the last second, so there's no possibility for you. Not
and then I Q in the direct way that you were going, so it always lands.
Right, is like I ward hop directly up to you. The whole thing now is much more deterministic, and so hopefully, Warwick's kit, and I actually think hopefully like most of my designs except Callista are endeavor to be built in a way where like they inherently allow like there is room for the opponent's decisions to play a role intrinsically. Now they still may be overpowered, but that's the design goal.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think overpowered is always going to be, well, I shouldn't say always, but mostly is a function of kind of the balance given at any moment, right? Rather than a core number of mechanics. Though we certainly have some of those, Callista, Azir, etc. One thing that I want to hear from you guys, before we get into kind of what the future looks like for each of you. I want to know what were some of your fondest memories? When you really felt like this thing was coming together, right? Because I know there's a lot of play tests, there's a lot of yelling, there's a lot of feedback that goes around in the 8 to 9 months, sometimes longer, in a champion process, and it can take a while before those iterations that we talked about really sort of feel like they're setting in.
For me personally, it's when we decided to inject kind of back-like aesthetics to the face, like huge long ears that really are like way bigger than a normal wolf's ears. That the reason why is that it was to give him better senses. His nose is actually, if you look at it, it's shaped like a bat. You know what I mean? The different other animals we asked, but like that head shape, like for me, was like, I think we tapped into something that people they've seen werewolves, but this is something that's kind of unique. And to me, that's where I felt like we were onto something. You know what I mean? That was super exciting for me personally.
I mean, yeah, and that probably takes you down the path of the Chimera thing you're talking about, right? Where it's like, what else is actually in there with all of the different pieces?
Usually in the production, when you start drawing concepts, it's like, I drew this big tail because I just like flair, right? I'm like, yeah. And everyone's like, whoa, Larry, that's going to be kind of hard to animate. But then I was like, all right, let me shorten it. And then the animator's like, no, I want that tail. Give me the tail. That could give me so much emotion. So we're like, cool, let's give this big squirrel fox tail. And it just kind of stayed.
The squirrel, fox, wolf, bat. Yeah, man.
And it was also kind of cool. It was like, original Warwick had these, when I was talking to a lot of players, a lot of internal people at Riot about the gold nails on Warwick. They liked that claw thing. So that's where the cut off arm and the mechanical arm kind of got the inspiration. It's like, how do we retain that gold fingertips, right? Well, it's like, let's give it a story as compared to just putting it on, right? So all these little like wins, that's where I just started to see is like, okay, we've made Warwick compelling without going too far, right? So
I feel you. David?
For me, it was when we decided that he would no longer be coherent when he's blood hunting.
Oh, I love this.
Because to that point, I mean, we're kind of playing it safe and paying in the numbers. But that's where I felt like we broke free. We all have our paintbrushes out, and we're painting on the same canvas and making something great. That's just Warwick.
Right. So does he have new lines when that happens, or does he have the old lines, but he's messing them up? I guess what I mean is like, did you record different things for him to be screaming?
I think we wanted players to try to figure it out.
Oh, well, never mind. That's right, guys.
So
you
coy.
decide. And what about you? Did you have a paintbrush moment or something?
Maybe I'll just there was, I think, when so Warwick, old Warwick has had so few animations that we were actually using Olaf's model during development of the other kit with just Warwick's like texture on it.
It was a little jank. It was so messed up.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember he uses the fear move and he just Ragnaroks, right?
Yeah, that's really bad. But Olaf actually has a lot of really like crisp, powerful feeling animations. And eventually, when we but it certainly doesn't sell like beast that is like full on beast, right? And so when we got the early Warwick the new Warwick model in game, and then the animator had Warwick run on all fours, that was really to me moment. When I was like, oh man, we're hitting our goals, right? I feel like a completely different champion who's running differently, and from there it was no surprise to me that the VFX looked awesome on that state. The audio designer Matteo went out of his way to make Warwick have footsteps, and those footsteps change with terrain because everyone on the team found it so compelling that he was in this four-legged running state, going super fast, probably almost like breaking the rules fast.
Right. I mean, we don't actually have any other characters that run on all fours, do we?
We have Volibear.
We have Hecarim and
but
Volibear.
That was the challenge. Like God bless these animators and how and the engineers to figure this out. Like we weren't confident, but then they just kept at it. And then when they hit it, just like what Brad was saying, it's like we knew we had the feral monster that we always wanted. And so that's one reason why we feel he stands out from Rengar and Volibear, who are two anthropomorphic characters, that are kind of animalistic, is that Volibear does do all four, but it's kind of more like man going into bear kind of jog back up the man mode.
Well, I guess that's what I was going to say to talk about, just the amazing work in the animations here is they really flow so well. Part of the reason why I was like, damn, do we even have any other four-legged whatevers is Volibear's movement doesn't really work super well with movement speed, right? Like as he's slowing down, he's kind of just like clopping on the ground, right? But the fact that when you hit the threshold of where you're on all fours with Warwick, it really feels like I have shifted into high gear and I really am at the fastest moment that I can in the game. I mean, how important was speed to you? Was that the driving factor to the champion?
I thought it was a big one. I think players like buying movement speed items, and but it's usually trappy to be whenever someone's I have a movement speed build, I always roll my eyes. It's you win.
Movement speed, Darius, was a thing, and you know it. It was a thing, and you know
it. But fundamentally, it's stats matter so much to League, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's wow, you're so fast. Anytime you're near me, Sunfire Cape, and it's it doesn't matter that I'm fast, right? But so hey, how do we empower players to make trade-offs around movement speed that are biased in favor of the movement speed item rather than against it? And how do we deal with sort of the fact that junglers can be so deeply unfair in the laning phase when everyone is spread out and you have to go take risks by standing in the middle of a minion wave by yourself? So it's how do we scale up the efficacy, the effectiveness of some of their engage spells and stuff over time?
So you mean you have real reasons. It's not just you going, I'm going to make players buy movement speed, and then you sit back and laugh and rub your hands together.
I think on some level, well, this is well, we were talking about this. This is the kind of person Brad is. You mentioned it there for a second, but I still think it's so funny. The oh yeah, it's cute. You have a movement speed build. Brad literally has to play powerful things in League of Legends, right?
That's all I can do. Yeah,
we have an internal tournament called the Riot Rumble that some of you may know, and Brad usually plays mid lane. I was like, Brad, what are you playing? And he was like, Corki. Right, and this is at the time where Corki was the mid laner for months. I was like, oh, do you play anything else? He's like, Lux. Right, it was just
I do not like playing Lux. I think she's a great champion, but I hate playing Lux.
Yeah,
I mean, she was so overtuned for a while, and I had to play Lux. It just killed me. I still played Lux.
Yeah,
I shielded. I spammed that shield on my teammates.
You provided so much.
I just cast E on my opponents.
Spammed it on the
wave over and over and over.
Was it the fact that you have to help people?
Yeah,
I didn't
be a team player.
Was it that I just get this sense that sometimes Brad has watched me do some of the dumbest things you can do in League of Legends, and there is both an anger at wow, Patrick is lowering my win percentage right now. But there's also a sad child by the windowsill. I wish I could run free and idiotic like that once in my life.
That would be so great.
So this might help players. What are you playing now? Everyone.
Yeah. What's Brad playing? That's the.
I play Anivia, Caitlyn, Zyra. Actually, a lot of champions I've worked on. Weirdly,
yeah.
I barely play top right now. Obviously, I would just be spamming Camille.
Yeah.
You should. And
I have attempted to.
I still think Hecarim is insanely powerful in
yeah,
the jungle,
dude.
but I don't see him quite as much.
I feel like Hecarim's one of those champions that doesn't really see a lot of play unless he's broken the barrier of being like truly overpowered.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course, Ivern is
Yeah.
a good choice in my opinion right now.
I literally was in the PC bong with Brad once time. One of my friends came to visit and he had to play something in the jungle and he was like, "Oh, I want to play Diana." And Brad was like, "Oh, that's interesting. I want to win League of Legends." And so of course that made him pick Diana, which then made Brad she was so angry. He was like, "Fine, I'm playing Rumble." He was like, "I'm gonna make our win percent high. Damn it, I'm gonna win this game." And then of course it happened. It actually ended up working out. No, this is on the way here I asked if you were gonna play Warwick, and he said no because you don't like playing melee champions. Larry, is this going to be a champion that you will play a lot?
This is my I don't really jungle at all. So I kind of dabbled in it. This is going to be my first year where I'm going to primarily jungle.
You're going to brave.
I'm going to do Warwick because I used to play Warwick as my beginning. Him and Rumble,
Swain. Swain's what you're looking for.
Yes.
Swain, the name Swain.
But I think I am gonna I think because he is entry level jungler and I think he does have some utility now. I think I'm just gonna dive in and try to learn jungle.
Larry Ray loves Swain with a passion I have not seen parents give to their children. And the weirdest thing, and there's going to be like two people who sit up at their desk, like excited when they hear this. I was like, Larry, so what is it? Is it the old guy? Is it the bird? Is it the cane? What is it that he gets? And he was like, oh no, I don't even care about any of that. I love the kit. And I was like beside myself. I was like, I've never met a human being who loves playing it so much. Maybe this is why it's good that you sit right next to Soul Kim.
Yeah.
Both of you can just love Swain together. David, what are you playing? Are you going to be a Warwick player? Are you even close to a Warwick player in your style?
Yes. If you spam dance, I'll jump on you. I don't care what happens.
So that's why you're going to play it. Is specifically if anyone pulls any nonsense, you are leaping across the map directly on top of them.
Yes.
All right. Well, good. I guess we're 2 out of 3. I'm probably going to play him, but I'm going to play him top lane, and I'm going to build something dumb.
AP Wick.
Brad's like, of course that's what you're gonna do. So guys, as we kind of wrap up here, what's next? Warwick is a beautiful thing. Hopefully, crossing my fingers, is a beautiful thing. A totally balanced, totally great thing. What is your next project, or what are you gonna move on to?
Well, I got kicked off the team. I'm moving back to the champion
Brad.
team, and who knows, maybe I'll make a new champion or just try to help out over there. But
I've seen rumors on
guys-
the internet we're working on Urgot.
Oh, is that so? Ooh.
Yeah.
Is that? I wouldn't happen to be sitting next to people who were working on Urgot, would I?
I'm still working in Zon a little bit. There's a couple projects that involve some of those thematics.
Damn, dude, we're in full on Easter eggshell territory right here. So, David, then I'll give you kind of the last question here. If you could work on any champion's story, if you could just pick one out right now, and you were like, I think we can 10x, 15x, like I think I really can speak to that character's fantasy. What would you want to do?
Amumu's pretty lonely.
Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah.
Are you gonna make him more lonely?
Yeah. We haven't reached peak lonely yet.
we can get lonelier.
still
We
have
can reach
meter
the
left.
He doesn't
lonely
cry
speed.
constantly. You have to turn crying on.
Oh, I
If we
see.
could
So
just
that's-
fix that.
I have to tell a story about Amumu. Remember when the Amumu music video came out?
Yeah.
I became obsessed with this idea that Amumu needed to be completely alone and that his abilities should also harm his teammates. And so even his allies would run away from him. And I was like, I would like pitch this to all my peers, the other designers, and they would quite naturally say like, "You're joking, Riot, or we ought not do that." And I would just get so furious with them. Like, did you not watch the video? Or like,
That's the fantasy.
it's like, yeah,
He's
yeah,
so
yeah.
alone.
You're sheep. You're all sheep.
That's probably happened once or twice. Just Brad yelling about how Amumu needs to be alone. Well, okay. I guess we won't talk about what you're going to work on next, but I imagine it's going to be great. I imagine it's going to be fantastic. What? What is that wind that?
Yeah,
blew
no,
in?
like we have a like the same sort of DNA like starting
Yeah.
thing built up for Urgot right now, and they're doing explorations, and I actually think the kit has legs, and so we'll like see where he ends up. But do you guys have any thoughts on like what sorts of pillars you're seeing for Urgot? I know it's really early to talk about, but
I'll let David
Someone
up this
told
one.
me what they love about Urgot is that they feel so badass when they're chasing someone down, and there's nothing they can do about it.
that does sound like it would feel good.
Yeah.
Deeply unfair, but yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel like from everything that I've seen of Urgot players, old and new, Urgot's all about making someone have a bad time. And I gotta say, I don't think that's changing.
Yeah, I have to agree.
You are definitely going to ruin someone's day. So speaking of ruined days, now that we're done crashing into your ears, go ahead and recommend this to your friends. Like, comment, subscribe, etc., etc. Let us know what you want to see on this channel, and we will be back, I think, with another champion update relatively soon. That said, guys, Larry, David,
Cheers.
Larry, David, Brad, thank you for coming by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Later, y'all.
Thank you.
We will see you guys next time.